Hi, I'm Bob Peters, and I'm here in the Big O, Orlando. You're watching Central Florida Salute, and I have the honor of having the National Commander from the Amvets here today because there's a big conference going on, and her name is Jan Brown, and I want to welcome you to Salute.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my honor. It's an honor. You got a big event going on here.
It's our midwinter conference, and the Department of Florida invited me down and toured me around a little bit. And now we're in meetings this weekend, and back to Washington tomorrow. So,
tell me a little bit about Amvets. What does Amvets? Some people ask me that. What does Amvets mean?
Amvet stands for American Veterans, and we are the largest congressionally chartered organization that accept all honorably discharged veterans, to include Guard, Reserve, peacetime. You don't have to have served overseas or during war. If you served and you got at least under honorable conditions, you're eligible to join Amvets. And Amvets, we legislate on the Hill for our veterans and our active duty. We have a career center where we help veterans find not just jobs, but careers that they can support their families on. We have many scholarship programs. We do Americanism programs. We try to keep our youth involved. We do a program at Freedom's Foundation in Valley Forge every year where we bring up to 100 kids
That's
in.
great.
And they learn about the Constitution. I mean, they are immersed, and they come in there shy and awkward, and they go out ready to face the world and you know, willing to serve, you know, and they make lifelong friends at these things. We feel that that's important to keep our kids, you know, to know why we do what we do. And it's usually essay contest winners that get to go. But it's a good experience for all of them. I've been twice, and I'll go back anytime I have the opportunity because I learn every time I go. So.
I've done a lot of those education programs myself in the past, and we here at Salute have a few of them on our YouTube channel. But it's not just the veterans. You're a family, right?
We are a family. We emphasize we have a ladies auxiliary, we have a Sons of Amvets, we have juniors, and then we have riders, which includes all of the other organizations. If you ride a motorcycle, you're eligible to join the riders, either as a rider or a rider supporter. So that's we're one big
happy family.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Mostly. Sometimes we're a little dysfunctional, but you know, aren't all families. But we're getting right now. Our emphasis is on family, and we try to do things together. So.
Yeah, I would like to let our viewers know a little bit more about Jan Brown. You're married to J.P. Brown,
right?
Who was a past commander too. Am I right?
Obviously, yes. When we met 20 odd years ago, when we first started dating, was that if the Amvets didn't accept me as, you know, one of their own, then you know this wasn't going to work. So I actually went to a national convention of Amvets before I ever went to my post meeting. Yeah, he has lived and breathed Amvets since he was a junior. Mm-hmm. And his dad was involved in Amvets, a World War II vet, and he came up in the organization. And then even after his dad died, he kept growing, and he's done every chair everywhere. So it's all good. But I met him. I was temporary duty TDY up to Youngstown Air Reserve Base for the summer, and I was between assignments and as a recruiter, and I was up there training recruiters, and I met him at the county fair, and he ran the military and veterans area on Canfield Fair is the largest county fair in the country, and we run 6 days, the Wednesday before Labor Day to Labor Day, and we have a 7-acre area for veterans, and where they set up tents, and you can talk about your organization. We have the static displays, we bring people in, the VA comes in, we have different organizations, and then that's on one side of the memorial, and on the other side we have a Civil War reenactors. So
Oh,
that stay
yeah.
the whole week,
Those
which is
are fun.
awesome.
Yeah, I like
that.
that.
And we have both sides. There's a Mason-Dixon line running down the center, and everybody gets along, so it's all good.
Well, tell me a little bit more about yourself. You're from Ohio, right?
I currently live in Ohio.
Oh, currently.
I was born in Oregon. I was raised in Washington State, where I joined the Air Force in 1973, and I have not lived there since, but I still consider Washington my home because that's where my family is mostly at. And I came in as a medical lab technician into the Air Force, and spent my first permanent party station at Clark Air Base in the Philippines. I was there during the fall of Saigon. I had an opportunity to participate in Operation Freedom Lift and Operation Baby Lift when Saigon fell. And that was pretty awesome. And we had, I can't tell you how many babies, in the thousands. They just took the gym floors, the rec center floors, old Quonset heads, covered them with mattresses and babies, until we could get them into the States. So it was pretty, it was a lot of work, but
A lot of good feeling, too.
a lot of good feelings. And I met, just a couple of years ago, I was in California at an Amvet convention, and there was a representative there who adopted one of those babies. So I had an opportunity to speak to him afterwards and let him know that probably not, but in all likelihood, I probably at least saw his son.
Oh, that's good.
So. But,
So you did 27 years in the Air
27,
Force.
right.
And your husband, you said, served, what did he serve?
He was in the, he served in the Navy. He was an engineman on the landing craft. He was a brown water sailor in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
LCMs, and basically transported Marines up and down the river, and medics and stuff. So he did his time and he got out. He wasn't going to press it. He did 2 tours in Vietnam, and he figured the third one probably wouldn't have been as lucky. So
Yeah, well, you tell him I said thank you for your service.
I will.
And welcome home. So how did you said you got involved because you met your husband, and that's how you got involved with the Amvets.
Yes.
Now, tell me a little bit about what you do as the national commander. Other than come here and visit with me.
I do a lot of that. I do a lot of interviews. I'm kind of the face of the organization. I'm out there. I spend a lot of time on the Hill talking to congressmen and their aides, staff members, about different legislation that we're trying to push. I travel to different departments across the country, and just, like I said, I'm kind of the face of the organization. I'm not the everyday, today, running the office kind of thing. I'm there, but I spend a lot of time on the phone talking to people, and I try to do a lot of feel-good stuff, because that's, I don't need to be the hammer. That's why we have departments. So, but it's, sometimes you have to be, and but I enjoy it. It's a great organization. It's our 75th year, and to be elected the first female national commander.
That's quite an honor.
For the 75th year, and it wasn't a cakewalk for me. I had competition at every chair except one, and to include commander, I had competition. So somebody decided to run
you
against
started
me.
at a local post, and you worked your way up to the as a commander there, and then you went into state.
I did in the state. I did not. I held. I sat on the Service Foundation, our charitable wing, for about 10 years, and I did that. And I've always been more active on the national level. I've always run for 20-something years. I did credentialing for the convention, which is basically making sure that you're eligible to vote in our elections and you're eligible to be there, and giving reports. And that's kind of been my, that's why people know me. And I learned a lot, and I basically went up through the chairs with my husband, because I was with him when he went through all the state chairs and all the national chairs. I've always been there, so I learned a lot from him going up. learn what not to do and what to do. You know,
So I know as a, because I am an Amvet, I belong to everything really.
Right.
But I know as people in your position, like National Commander, you have a charity or one of your
it's a project we have.
project that you have. What is your project? Tell us about it.
It's called Save a Warrior, and Save a Warrior is a organization near and dear to my heart. They do alternatives to, it's a peer-to-peer group, week-long at a warrior camp for suicide prevention. It's to help people get to the root of their problems, you know, in a very intense setting. It's very healing, and it's peer-to-peer. There's not psychiatrists there. It's people that have been through the same thing that get you. That I know a lot of our people that go to mental health, and I'm not saying there's any. I think it's important that we all do that. But if that mental health professional can't empathize with you because they haven't been there, they don't know, you know, they haven't been shot at, they haven't seen their buddy dead, you know, that these people are not going to connect with them.
You're right.
And we're trying to find alternatives that don't include heavy medication. We don't want to numb down the mind. We want people to live, you know. You know, they say 22 a day, and other people will say it's only 20 a day. It doesn't matter how many it is. One is too many.
Absolutely, I agree.
And so this program, it's a week long for, or it's 5.5 days for men, and it's 4.5 days for women. Apparently we get it quicker, is what they said. Well, we tend to open up quicker.
Yeah.
But
higher learning curve, yeah.
Faster learning curve, yeah. So the Warrior Camp is in Ohio, Central Ohio, South Central Ohio, at the old Longabarger Basket retreat. And I don't know if they bought it or it was donated or however they got it, and they fixed it up. They can take 12 people at a time, and they run them through their paces. But when a veteran comes there, they pay nothing. They don't pay for transportation, they don't pay for any meals, they don't pay for lodging, and of course that's all there. They have volunteers, they have a chef that comes in and volunteers and cooks all the meals.
This is through the Amvets?
It's through Save a Warrior.
Save a Warrior.
That's my project that I'm donating to, so we can continue this. He has recordable results. They keep track of everybody that goes through the program. I think maybe they've lost, in the 7 or 8 years they've been going, they've lost maybe 2 people that have gone through. They've adjusted a lot of things. Their aftercare is almost as important as when you're going through the sessions. They have alumni meetings. They keep in contact with them on the phone, through social media, through emails. They visit. They have like buddies that they, you know, check on your buddy kind of thing. They also, one of my favorite things about it is when they leave there, they encourage them to go out and volunteer with other organizations, because when you're concentrating on somebody else, they're not thinking about you.
That's true.
And if you know, we talk about the highest rate of suicide right now is amongst Vietnam era veterans. And, you know, my theory is that, you know, when they came back, they were spit on and basically disregarded as human beings.
We didn't have a big band.
There was no welcome home, brother, then.
Yeah, no.
So, but they pushed that aside. They got on with their lives. They raised their families. They had careers. Now they're in that retirement mode, and they have time to think because they're not keeping busy. And now that stuff's starting to come back, you know, out of their memory and weighing on them, you know. So we encourage. One of my big pushes since I started coming up the national chairs is complementary and alternative medicine. Let's find another way. Let's not numb the brain with medication. And I think a lot of our suicides happen because they're taking this medication and it's not healing the pain. So they're taking more and more, and it's an accidental overdose a lot of times. That, again, Jan's opinion.
That makes sense. I agree with a lot of that.
But I think if we can teach people how to deal with, you know, anxiety and their feelings, through exercise, whether, you're hitting a punching bag or you're doing yoga. We sponsor Tai Chi in my post 2 days a week. The VA brings people in, but my thing was I won't charge you for the space, because I can do that, but I don't. I want it to be open to any veteran who wants to come and their family members, because families need to heal also. And when you're deployed, you really don't know what your family's going through while you're gone. And when you get back, everybody's different because everybody's grown a different way.
Absolutely.
So it's hard, and that's they suffer too. The families at home suffer also, and in a different way. And if you have post-traumatic stress when you come back, and you're acting out, and you have anxiety, and you have a hair trigger, that's definitely affecting your family. So we want the whole family to heal. And the nice thing about Save a Warrior is that it also includes family members and first responders if they're at that point.
Police and firemen.
Police, firemen, EMS, they go through their own kind of personal hell, when they're dragging.
Oh, yeah.
Look how many people from 9/11 have committed suicide from, bringing people out of the.
Now, this is a national program?
It is a national program.
So if somebody's watching this and say, Save a Warrior, they got a website, right?
They do, saveawarrior.org.
SaveAWarrior.org. You can learn more about
it tells all about it, and there's an application process. I will say that it's probably 6 months out before you're going to get, if you're a candidate, if you're critical, give them a call. If you're in crisis, call the crisis hotline. If you're anybody, any veteran, any family member, any civilian, it doesn't matter. We've on the Amvets website, which is amvets.org, there is a HEAL team link on there, which is one of our big initiatives to help veterans. And we have a suicide awareness course on there where you can, it teaches you to recognize signs and symptoms of people that might be in crisis, what to do. I encourage everybody to take the course and then to print out the certificate that's supplied online, take a picture of it, put it on your social media, and let people know how they can do it too. I'm encouraging everybody to take the course. The more people that take it and are aware and can maybe help somebody get to the right place, why not?
I can't agree with you more. I heard you had a tour of Leesburg in the Veterans Park by this great guy.
What was his name?
He's a public information officer for the Amvets 2006 in Leesburg.
Bob Peters.
Yeah. So how did you like our park?
I did. I was very impressed. And you could tell that a lot of thought and labor, that was a labor of love, to be sure. I could tell by everything that you had in there. And I want to go back without the tour so I can read everything now. I didn't get a chance to do that.
Come back anytime you want. Just give me a call.
No, I'm just going to go so I can read whatever I want. But I'll come to the post after. But yeah, it's a beautiful place, and you should be very proud of that.
Well, a man named Don Van Beck, he started the ball rolling, and Jerry Sexsmith and a lot of other people. And what's neat is the Rotary clubs, the Eagles, all kinds of organizations chipped in, businesses and all, to make that a reality. And I did a show with Mr. Wally Lambert. When you get back home, go on Central Florida Salute YouTube and see Wally Lambert, 94-year-old gentleman, and he knows all about World War II because he lived it, and he was there on D-Day. And he and I sat down and talked about it. But I appreciate everything you're doing. So now you're going to visit a few more towns here in Florida, or you're headed back?
I'm heading back tomorrow. I testify before the Joint Committee on Veterans Affairs, and I need to start getting ready. So, because according to the guy that's writing it, I'm not going to be very nice. So I need to be able to bone up on
You're just going to tell it like it is.
I am going to tell it like it is. He goes, "Are you afraid of offending anybody?" He goes, I said, "Well, I'm not running for anything but the door when I leave here." So
that's right.
This is my one chance to make a real impact, and I hope that I do.
Jan, can you tell me about some of the legislation that's going on now and what they're working on?
There's several. One that we've talked about a little, off to the side, was that now they've passed in the House, and we're waiting it to go through the Senate, where dogs or veterans who need service dogs for post-traumatic stress will be at free of charge to the veteran. So that's a huge thing, and I don't know. I'm not totally familiar with the bill. I don't know if that's just the cost of the animal and the training, or if they're going to take care of the vet bills and all that stuff too. I'm a personal believer. Again, to me that's an alternative and complementary healing thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I see the changes that my husband went through when we got a dog. Sometimes I felt like he was on steroids sometimes, but that dog calms him down. And when he's upset or the dog is, he's not feeling well, that dog comes over and just lays his head down on it.
And if it really gets bad, it jumps on his lap.
It does, and that's not a trained dog. That's just
this
Jimmy.
one was not trained?
He's not trained. It's just Jimmy.
Wow.
That's just the dog. He's very loving, and if it's me, he'll come over and do the same thing to me. What we have to be careful of is people who are just buying vests and sticking them on dogs and
calling them service dogs.
Calling them service dogs when they're not. We work with Paws with a Cause. Our Ladies Auxiliary works with them out of, I want to say Wisconsin or Minnesota, one of those cold north states. And they do a lot with the veterans. We have a lot of local, even where I live. We have several organizations that are training dogs to deal with. One of the veterans I work with, she did 3 tours, she got 3 deployments, was fine, came back, and a wooden door fell and hit her on the head, and now she has seizures. So this dog can tell when she's going to have a seizure and make her lay down, and can call, has a special phone, can call 911 that says where she's at and that she's having a seizure.
Yeah, they are amazing. I have a dear friend of mine who's paralyzed from the chest down. He competes in alternative sports all over the world, and he mentors young wounded soldiers too, but he's got a service dog too, and his is, he has all kinds of conditions. He's kind of legally blind too, but if he has a problem, that dog will run out of the house to the neighbor, and the neighbors know that if that dog is coming to my house, there's a problem.
Right.
They're amazing what they can do.
Another dog that the same group trained, the veteran has very high anxiety and is hyper alert all the time and can't sleep because he's always checking his 6. And this dog, like I was interviewing him for the radio, and we were outside waiting on somebody, and you could tell he was anxious because the dog leaned against him and whimpered, and I said, "Is that your sign?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "It's to calm down." And I said, we're talking. I'm not grilling you over anything. We're just going to talk about what this dog can do for you. But that dog sleeps in front of his door so he can sleep. The dog sleeps, basically, he doesn't sleep. He's alert right there.
Yeah.
And
they're amazing. They're not only they sniff out drugs. They cadaver dogs. Dogs can tell if you're having a diabetic seizure. You name it. They're amazing animals.
They are.
One last thing.
Okay.
I think it's a great honor that you, being a female, are the national commander, the very first one. And I've done a lot of history. Military history's been my thing. And what women do nowadays, it's unbelievable. You're like 15% of the force.
Right.
You want to give a little shout out to your sisters out there?
I will. And I have my granddaughter's in the National Guard. She's 4'11". She's an MP. She's mean as all get out. You don't want to mess with her. But I see, what I feel like I was a part of that, even though I didn't get to do a lot of those things. I always asked, how come not? Why can't I do that? Why is it only men that get to do that? I'm
not anymore.
I know. When I came in, I was still a WAF, a Women's Air Force. We had 2 commanders, 2 first shirts. It was double jeopardy every time you turn around. We were segregated. were primarily in medical and administrative fields. When the all-volunteer force came through in 1973, they started opening up aircraft maintenance, civil engineering, computers. Well, computers were just coming on board then, but all fields were starting to be opened up to women. Not every one, but when I went through basic training in June of 1973, it was the most women they'd ever had go through at one time, and it was 6 flights. We didn't even have uniforms for 2 weeks because they didn't have enough to go around. And we were rainbows for 2 weeks. So, you know, to see now we have women that are heading, you know, everything.
Fighter pilots.
Fighter pilots. I can remember when women first went into flying. It was like 1978, 79 timeframe when they were opening it up. When they opened up the service academies to women in 76. You know, I'm just like, I was like a day late and a year too old for everything, you know, when I got around to it. But I don't regret everything that I went through. And you know, we had my last assignment. I spent my last 15 years in recruiting, and I was at our headquarters in Warner Robins Reserve Recruiting, and we had there were probably 9 military women in this headquarters, and the lowest rank was an E6, and the highest was a lieutenant colonel. And we met about twice a month for tea, is what we called it, but basically it was to, you know, to come together and make sure that everybody's doing okay, and that was our buddy check, you know. And to see the women that have gone on and done so many amazing, great things, and it just blows my mind.
All right, well, I think it's time we got to say goodbye because we're running out of time. And this is how I do it, I've told you. To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. Hi, I'm Bob Peters, host of Central Florida Salute. You can check us out on Central Florida Salute YouTube. And if you got a story, we want to hear about it.